My Blood, the Ink. Episode 4. Selwyn.
Maybe we should provide Dante with a dedicated escort?
At minimum. Perhaps a binya.
She died last night. Whirlpool.
That's right.
We must remember to send her family some enchanted sea moss and pay our respects.
You, Selwyn.
I think he's progressed far enough to not be a courier of condolence gifts.
As an escort, he is certainly trustworthy, and we can use this as his final evaluation.
Will this be enough to put you at ease?
Hardly. But it is a start.
Summon him now.
I'd also like to request a full medical examination.
Another splendid idea. Administered by you, of course. This isn't something we should leave to anyone else.
I agree.
Good, then let it be so. Have Selwyn schedule the appointment. It's time we return to convocation. Dante, swim forward and bow your head. Do you swear on your life that you will bring no intended harm to our lands or our people?
I do.
Do you swear to abide by and be bound by our laws while our guest?
I do.
Do you recognize the authority of Namaka, Queen of Fierce Tides, Solacia, Queen of Storms, Tamkung, King of Healing Waters, Susanoo, King of Tsunamis and Guardian of the Veil, Mannanan, King of the Mist, as well as the last dragon, he who was here when life was young, and the King of Currents, Koi Valu, and Olokun, the Supreme Sovereign, as reigning lords of all that is submerged beneath the waters of the earth?
I do.
Then I, on behalf of the seven sovereigns, welcome you to our lands as well as this, our seventh convocation. You are granted full rights as an honored guest and friend of Atlantis. Septenary, is it so?
It is so.
Then let us depart. We shall see you again, Dante. May you enjoy all that Atlantis has to offer.
You may have them fooled. But I soon will know the truth of who you are. I will skin you alive before I allow the slightest hint of danger into our lands. Do you understand?
I do.
Pray that we do not cross paths again.
Gods. I had just met gods. Plural. My mind is buzzing, each thought a vibrating thread that I can't pin down. I don't know where to start. The shipwreck, my death, the ring falling into the depths, the fog, the city, the dragon, the gods, the spider, the ancestors made of bubbles, Mannanan's threat or warning, and now the buzzing. All of it is just a throbbing tornado in my mind with no beginning and no end. For the first minute, I think it's hilarious. I'm able to ride that wave of chaos and submit to the absurdity of the moment. But then the tornado won't stop. That's when I realize it can't stop, that everything is a tangled, messy knot, and there's no way for me to just find that one thread and tug on it, spinning everything back out into one clean line. I really start to worry when the tornado of my mind grows to encompass the rest of me, forcing its way into my chest to toss my heart around with reckless abandon, pulsating in my bones, making me weak in the knees. And suddenly, even with brand new state-of-the-art gills, I am struggling to breathe. The tornado is building up pressure in my body until there is a roaring in my ears, and spots begin to dance in front of my eyes, feeling like I am seconds away from exploding. I do the only thing I can think of. Ah! Oh, right. Spider. What was that earlier? I wasn't aware I had another passenger riding side saddle in my skull. Nothing? Couldn't be bothered to help out while I was drowning? Only like to speak up when I'm being interrogated by gods, is it? Okay.
Are you finished?
I look up towards the voice. Much slower than I would have liked, but as fast as my body would allow, and watch as a man around my age floats down towards me. Once he's hovering over me, neither of us speak. I simply stare at him, and he responds in kind, intensity smoldering behind the green of his eyes. He clenches his jaw, and I notice how meticulously the hair on his beard is trimmed. We do look to be the same age, but while I've spent the past few years more than a little bothered that I could barely muster up a few whiskers on my chin, he sports a full strawberry beard, around and beneath a statuesque jawline, all of it coming together to showcase an air of weaponized competence. He sighs and runs a hand through the vibrant tresses of red hair that fall to the base of his neck.
I said, are you finished?
Finished what?
You just screamed bloody murder and you're sprawled out on the floor of the throne room.
Got it. I can see how this looks. I'm just having a bit of a moment. A lot has happened.
And just how long do you think this moment will last?
You know, I can't really say. I'm not sure that I've had a moment before. Don't really have a baseline to compare it to time-wise. Also, hi. My name is Dante.
So I've very recently been informed. Will you be staying for the rest of Convocation, Dante, or are you just here for the festival?
No idea. To be honest, I'm not even sure what Convocation is. What's your name?
Selwyn. So, you don't know how long you're staying, or what Convocation even is. Why are you in Atlantis to begin with?
Now, that is a story. Part of why I'm currently having this moment we just talked about. Short version is that I died, and now I seem to be here by a fluke of Olokun's magic.
A likely story. Olokun does not make mistakes.
And yet here I am, talking to you in the gods' throne room, having a moment.
Here's what will happen. This moment is now over. I'm going to give you a room at the end of the Druid Suite, not because you're worthy of the Druid Suite, but because I don't want you near the other guest until we figure out more about you.
Druid Suite sounds fancy.
While you're here, you do not go anywhere without alerting me first. For some reason, you are my responsibility, which means you're a reflection of me, and I've worked too hard for you to ruin it now that I'm so close to the end.
Don't embarrass Selwyn. Got it.
Wonderful.
So, are you my aquatic butler, or how does it work?
I am your guide. Not your butler, your servant, or your babysitter. Your guide.
That's amazing. Will you also be my friend, Selwyn?
Are you inebriated? What is happening? This is a test. This is obviously a test.
Selwyn, say you'll be my friend. You know that my mother's a lobbyist, right? And I've got multiple tycoons in my immediate family.
That sounds very nice.
I'm telling you this because I learned firsthand that friendship can be a powerful weapon.
I am your guide, not your friend.
You say that now, but when it comes to charm offensives, I'm a 5-star general.
Are you falling asleep? Absolutely not. Get up. Dante, get up.
I wake slowly, blinking a few times, trying to wipe sleep from my eyes, and once I do, I take in the room with awe. Firstly, it is massive. The floor is made of marble, the room itself multiple shades of dark green. Octopus tentacles made of silver flow out from my headboard and spread throughout the space. To the left of me are 3 large windows, in front of which fish and other creatures swim. I look up and see lines of light cutting through the ceiling in hexagons, illuminating the room with a soft glow. I lift the sheets from me with a bit of a struggle. Small magnets dress the fringe along the edges, weighing it down so I don't float away in the night. 1 second. Selwyn. Hello.
Morning.
Good morning.
I trust you slept well.
I think that may have been the best sleep I've ever gotten.
I'm glad to hear it. May I enter?
Of course. This room is amazing. I know I don't deserve it, but thanks nonetheless. The last thing I remember was passing out in the throne room. Which, apologies, by the way. I promise I don't usually scream bloody murder and then pass out in front of strangers. I was just...
having a moment, I recall. Let's forget it happened and get started.
Of course.
The grooming team will arrive in a moment to make sure you look presentable. Let them do their work. In the meantime, focus on the history lesson I'm about to give you. Ah, they're here.
Hello, everyone. Wait, what about the windows? Or am I a prude and privacy isn't an Atlantean custom? I have seen a lot of open shirts.
All the windows in the living quarters are installed with a filter that allows the occupant to see out while ensuring that no one else sees in.
Oh.
Can we get started now?
Wow, your hands are cold. Okay, yes.
Wonderful. Firstly, you are in Atlantis, the capital city of our underwater civilization. Usually, sea denizens live a fairly independent lifestyle across the globe, but there's currently an influx due to convocation.
Yes, and what is that again?
Sea gods have historically been very violent and prone to warring. A few thousand years ago, the Magi felt that the constant fighting was wreaking havoc and causing chaos. So, Archmage Malik brokered a peace treaty between the 7 deadliest and most powerful deities. They each rule for 70 years at a time, while the others are in a forced sleep. Every 490 years they are awoken together to celebrate, debrief, and plan for the next ruling cycles. We call that 10-year period Convocation, and we are currently celebrating its 7th iteration.
Wow. Wow.
Precisely. The past few thousand years have been a period of unprecedented peace and technological advancement.
I can only imagine. What are the Magi? How could one person get them to agree to all this?
The Magi were a caste of holy priests tasked with preserving order and balance in the world. They were healers, teachers, and a few of them were major political figures. They died out some centuries back.
How?
Not entirely sure. I specialize in Atlantis history, not the Magi's.
Fair. Who's Neris?
Where did you hear that name?
Yesterday, when I first met the Sovereigns. They wanted to be sure I wasn't working with her or something of the sort. She seemed important, so I just thought to ask.
Neris is little more than a troublemaker who thinks herself a revolutionary. She's a traitor that seeks to undermine the countless achievements the Septenary have made, and those that support her cause are complicit in her acts of treason. If you're smart, you wouldn't bring her up again. And if you ever hear that anyone else has, tell me immediately. Is that clear?
Yes.
I need you to understand this, Dante. Do not speak of her again to anyone. And if you hear anything about her, you tell me, as well as who was discussing her.
Selwyn, I understand.
Good. What are you all standing around for? Let's get back to it. Convocation. You've managed to hit the celebratory peak of the festival, so you'll have a robust itinerary over the next few weeks.
Exciting.
We'll start with a visit to Tam Kung, so you can undergo the full examination he requested.
Less exciting?
It's a rare honor that Tam Kung will see to your care personally. Take this seriously.
I will. I'm just not the biggest fan of doctor visits and people probing my body.
You'll need to get over that. It would be reckless to swim about in complete ignorance of what's happening to you biologically.
I know.
Exhibition is fast approaching, so I figured we could attend some of the festivities before then. Nothing that requires any particular commitment, just in case Tam Kung's diagnosis dictates a particular protocol.
Like what?
I'm not sure. So we'll just be prepared to be flexible. Ah, you finished. You look... well done, everyone.
Is there a mirror I can use?
we're the most technologically advanced nation on the face of the earth. Yes, there's a mirror.
I take a look at myself for the first time since my transformation, and I'm so overtaken by my emotions that I don't know exactly how I feel. I managed to pluck out a few threads, a sense of loss, some confusion, and a tingling that feels like everything I've been through over the last however long it's been just isn't quite real. I'm a bit surprised at how much I still look like me. The tops of my ears are a bit pointier for some reason, but aside from that, some fins on my leg, the gills on my neck, and the slightly disconcerting ring of incandescence in my eyes, I look mostly like myself. And I must admit, I look good. I'm dressed in a style similar to Selwyn's. We both wear pants with strategically placed gaps in the back that leave room for the fins at our calves and ankles. I wear a sash at my waist that shimmers, complementing the ivory robe that flows out behind me. My chest is bare in the style the sea folk seem to prefer, but there is a thin golden chain that wraps around my neck and drips down my abdomen, latching on to a small silver circle from which 2 additional threads of gold splay out to wrap around my ribs. As I peer closer, I realize that while I can't pinpoint exactly what they've done to me, aside from my clothes, it's as if they've made me taller and bolder, more like someone returning home instead of discovering their land for the first time. Thanks, everyone. I feel like a fish out of water.
That was painful. I expect better humor from a 5-star general.
So you remember that?
Unfortunately. This is one of Koi Koi Valu's scales. It's what marks you as a guest under the protection of the sovereigns. It should go without saying that you should never take this necklace off.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to Koi Koi Valu, I guess.
Thank you, everyone. Do you have what you need to stitch the formal wear for this evening?
We do.
Wonderful. Actually, Sybella, you should be formally introduced. You've been put in charge of his wardrobe for the duration of his stay.
Very well. It will be my pleasure to assist you during your time with us. I hope we didn't overwhelm you earlier. I'm sure you've noticed that this one is a bit of a taskmaster.
Oh, I've noticed. And no, you all did a wonderful job. It looks great. This is the best I've looked in years.
High praise! You haven't even seen the formal wear.
Well, I trust the taste of a woman as beautiful as you.
So much charm. If I didn't know better, I'd say we were kin.
I'd hate to break up whatever this is, but we need to start making our way to Tamkong. We'll meet you back here about an hour before tonight's festivities.
Come now, everyone. The taskmaster has spoken. We've work to do.
Bye. She seems nice. Has a warmth about her.
Sybella is very capable. Her work is quick and seamless.
What did she mean when she said we could be kin?
I could only assume that she found your charms reminiscent to that of a siren.
Oh, a siren. So they're real. You should be careful, Selwyn.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to be spending a lot of time together, and if sirens find me charming after one conversation, how are you going to hold up against days or weeks of prolonged exposure? I mean, 5-star general, remember? That joke earlier was just me warming up.
I've survived a sea full of sirens this long. I'm more than sure I can handle you.
Yeah, but you've never seen anything like me. I'm once in a lifetime.
That lifetime may be shorter than you think if we don't get to Tamkung for your examination. Are you ready?
Yes. I'm off for a divine probe, and why wouldn't I be?
You'll be fine. We'll drill you on the sovereigns on the way.
I think I may be good on that one. They did this whole thing where I was surrounded by statues, and then I became the sea, and then there were like bubble specters, and it turns out some of my bubbles actually knew some of the gods. Plus, Olokun and I have a bond.
Is that so?
It is indeed so.
Okay, then. When petitioning the septenary, what do you do with your non-dominant hand?
Wave.
Incorrect. What are the 3 honorifics you're allowed to use for Mannanan and the one you are never allowed to use under any circumstance for Susanoo?
Okay. You've made your point.
Precisely. We drill.
You can step out of the spectrometer, Dante.
That was the last one, right?
Yes. Interesting.
What is?
We used the sonic resonator to give us a picture of your bones and muscles. The spectrometer allowed us to map the various magics in your body. And using the sample you gave us, I reset your blood cells, effectively moving them backwards through time. We fed that rewound blood sample into a tissue printer, and now we have enough of your old body to serve as a control, so we can understand what's happened to you. And what's happening to you is interesting.
How so?
I need more time with the data, and I want to test how your new body responds to certain stimuli. But essentially, this isn't a static transformation.
Meaning?
It isn't complete.
I mean, it feels pretty complete. What do I have left to turn into? Am I becoming a fish? No offense to the fish, of course.
No, you are not becoming a fish. Your body has undergone intense changes, but it hasn't committed to those changes fully. As it stands now, you can breathe and see and swim in ways conducive to living underwater. But your sensory capacity is significantly reduced compared to an aquatic native. Not to mention that it would be impossible for you to procreate with one.
I certainly was not planning to at the moment.
Good. And see here, your gills don't filter that well. And while your immune system can stave off most common sea-based viruses, it wouldn't be able to handle anything complex or particularly dangerous. Most worrying is that your bone density can't sustain this underwater pressure in a long-term capacity.
Can I still attend the festivities today?
What?
Well, it just seems like I'm not in any imminent danger or anything, right? As long as I avoid complex viruses and don't try to have children with mermaids.
Everything this data shows us reinforces that whatever happened to you was designed to be temporary. And to do it this way, to hold your body in this in-between state, requires a massive amount of magical energy. That's what I don't fully understand. It would have been far simpler to just execute the transfiguration.
I think back on all I know so far. This ring was the source of the magic that changed my body, the same ring that once belonged to my ancestor. I consider Olokun's admittance that it was his magic that caused the situation, and I recall seeing an ancestor of mine come forward and caress Olokun's cheek, triggering the flicker of sadness I had seen in her eyes. There's an obvious answer about what purpose the ring may have served, but that answer seems so very outlandish and impossible that I find it hard to believe.
Dante! Did you hear me?
No, I'm sorry.
I said that there's something else that concerns me. I only noticed it because of the unidentified magic and how that's adhered to you on the cellular level.
Okay.
The magic changing your body isn't yours. It hasn't fully adhered to you in the same way the mystery signature has.
But I don't have any magic.
That's not completely true. There are levels of a certain protein present in your body that indicate a latent potential for magic. But that's not my point.
Sure, but I do want to acknowledge that I feel like you just told me I could potentially have magic.
The unknown magic fits your biology perfectly. It was still a transference, but one that was clearly destined and designed for you.
So you're saying the magic from the ring wasn't intended for me?
Correct.
But it still mostly works.
Correct.
Could it be that it mostly works because I'm a descendant of who it was intended for?
That absolutely could explain it.
So what does that mean? Is that why the transformation isn't complete?
No. The stasis in your transfiguration seems to be intentional. A base design in the spell itself. Though I still don't understand why. The reason I'm concerned is because this magic will eventually run out. I'm assuming that that means your body will return to its former state. However, if the variance in this magic caused your body to change in ways that differ from how it would your ancestor, there's no telling how your body may respond to the reversion. All of this is a change your body was never supposed to make.
How long until the magic runs out?
I'd presume 8 months. Maybe a few more, maybe less.
That's great!
I don't understand.
Well, that estimate you gave means that I can still explore and see the sights and do everything on Selwyn's list. And we can figure these things out and run more tests over the next few months. Besides, it's like you said, we don't know. And while not knowing often makes people assume the worst, I just like to think that it means there's a strong likelihood that everything will be fine. Maybe we can even find a way to make the switch permanent. Didn't you say that would be easier? For the second time that day, I witnessed the death of sound. Unfinished words hang precariously from a myriad of frozen tongues. The ensuing silence is so powerful, it transforms the energy in the room to heat, and a thick, awkward tension is born, squeezing at my heart and dancing across my forehead, leaving trails of salty rivulets careening down my skin. Time hasn't stopped, yet everyone in the room is still, each of them avoiding my eyes. The room grows dark, and my body hums. My teeth feel like they're vibrating as my mouth runs dry. I smell ozone, and my tongue tastes of cheap metal.
You ramble on as if these decisions are yours to make. You are our guest. You are siphoning our magic. It is the last dragon's crest you wear on your chest that keeps you safe from all manner of creatures that on any other day would strip the flesh from your bones without a second thought. How presumptuous of you to stand in my laboratory and think you could just snap your fingers and we would rush to make your transience permanent. It's obvious why you would want to stay here. It's a whole new world. There's wonderful magic and life-changing science, and you get to leave your pathetic, mundane life behind. But answer this, Dante. Have you ever thought, for one moment, whether we would want you to stay?
I bow my head. I had been presumptuous. They had rolled out the red carpet for me, given me a guide, a beautiful room, and a brand new wardrobe, run all these tests to help me, and I had just assumed that this generous display could continue on forever. I shrink myself into a ball, pull my body in, and slowly let myself sink to the ground. According to Selwyn's lesson, not yet 3 hours old, the shrinking is a sign of submission. The stillness a sign of intention and respect. The accompanying silence, a surrender. After a moment, Tamkung turns away. The waters revert, and my body returns to its new normal. I keep my eyes down and don't say a word, not a hint of doubt remaining in my mind concerning Tamkung's status as one of the 7.
I know that you are excited. Brand new world aside, convocation brings with it a certain energy that can heighten emotions if you aren't careful. Go with Selwyn and enjoy the rest of your day. I must leave to prepare for exhibition, but I'll continue to look at these results and discuss them with the sovereigns over the next few days. But Dante, after today, after you've begun to explore our city and absorb the magic it has to offer, if you decide that you want to stay, you should begin thinking about how you plan to contribute. Our society is strong because each and every one of us plays an active role in making it so. We are bountiful because we reap all that we collectively sow.
Yes, Majesty.
Go then. And Selwyn.
Yes, Sovereign?
Well done for teaching him our ways so quickly. Continue preparing him.
Yes, Sovereign. I will.
Selwyn and I swim back to my room in silence. Part of me is afraid that I've managed to set us back again, but I can't quite focus on how my guide perceives me. I'm too occupied with the strange exhaustion that's turned my body to lead. Somehow I had managed to offend and enrage a god, and received a not-so-great prognosis regarding my new biology. And still, there, in the background of my mind, were memories of leaving home, the shipwreck, and the burning realization that I was most likely the only survivor. That came with its own slew of feelings. All in all, not a great first day in Atlantis. To Selwyn, I must not have seemed my usual self, though for him, having only seen me at varying emotional extremes in the past 24 hours probably meant that he had no clue as to what my usual self even was. And yet, when he finally spoke to me, there was a surprising gentleness in his voice that made me feel as though he were very intentionally handling me with care.
I wanted to apologize for how I behaved yesterday.
Are you saying this because you almost watch a god smite me?
I'm apologizing because this is an extremely stressful time in the capital, and I'm at my best when everything is organized and moves on a schedule, when I've had the chance to sit and anticipate several scenarios and prepare for all of them. But yesterday you came out of nowhere, and this responsibility came out of nowhere, and I had no information at all, and the entire situation left me frustrated and overwhelmed, and I took that out on you, which was wrong of me.
I appreciate and receive your apology, but it's completely unnecessary. I understand how insane this all must have been for you. It all still feels like a fever dream to me.
You're in a foreign land, and what we all now understand is a foreign body. Whatever stress or overwhelm I'm feeling can't possibly compare. So, if it's all right with you, I would like to prove to you why the Sovereigns chose me to be your guide. I'll teach you everything you need to know about our culture and introduce you to all the right people. I will personally guarantee that you have the time of your life.
Sounds like something a friend would do.
I wouldn't know. I've never had one.
I'd be happy to show you how it's done. You show me Atlantis, I show you friendship. Deal?
Deal. I can't believe the charm offensive worked.
I warned you. Meaner, crabbier folks have tried and failed. Your surrender was inevitable.
Would you like me to adjust the itinerary so you could rest for a bit longer? I'm sure that today has been a lot.
What was on the list?
The test ran longer than I expected, so you haven't eaten yet. We would have gone to one of the palace canteens, but I think I'll have them bring something to your room. After that, you'd have another fitting, tour 1 or 2 holy sites, and then exhibition.
Tam Kong mentioned that. What is it again?
It's a ceremonial battle where the sovereigns work together to subdue Oceanus.
The Titan?
That's a human term, but yes.
Noted. I'm assuming his conflict with them is what, around dominance?
Oceanus isn't a he, it's the sea itself. No consciousness, no personality, just the wild power of the sea incarnate. If left unchecked, it would be impossible to build and develop anything. As you can't kill the sea, the septenary just subdues it every half millennium.
So, if I skip out tonight, I'd be missing out on an epic battle between all of the gods and the ocean itself that only happens once every 500 years?
Unfortunately, yes.
Can I at least have an hour? I feel so heavy.
I can give you 2. And I can have the kitchen send over a tonic along with your meal.
I really appreciate that. It's funny, if you had described that epic battle with Oceanus to me this morning, I would not have believed that Tam Kung would be one of the fighters. But after today's display, I guess it's not that hard to imagine.
It's easy to forget how dangerous water can be. Sometimes it's gentle waves that fill you with the most profound sense of peace, and then before you know it, those gentle waves are a riptide, and Namaka is ferrying your soul to the Great Bridge.
So I should be careful because things and people may not be what they seem?
Be careful because they are more than what they seem. Tam Kung is kind, and he is timid. He's also terrifying and ruthless. It's when you reduce him down to one and forget the other that you find yourself in situations like you did earlier.
People are complicated.
Precisely.
Well then, I especially appreciate the lessons you gave me this morning. Who knew they'd come in handy so soon?
Yes, well, good on you for actually paying attention. Aside from all the terror I felt in the moment, there was also a bit of pride. I was impressed with how you turned that around.
I had a great teacher.
The very best. But let's try and go a little bit longer before my lessons need to be applied. And preferably in situations a lot less dramatic.
Deal. My Blood the Ink is a production of Akeem's Alchemy. Episode 4, Selwyn, was written and directed by J.Cottle. It features original compositions by Miguel Landestoy, sound design by Anna Drummond, studio engineering by Tom Nikiper and Carlos Curry, and editing by Lucy Little. This episode featured J.Cottle as Dante, Jude Torres as Selwyn, Shavonne Brown as Sybella, Morgan Beckford as Olokun, J. Connolly as Mannanan, Mika Rose as Tam Kung, Jasmine Garcia as Namaka, Maya Baca as Solacia, and Diji K as Susanoo. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters Jordan Leslie, Siniqua Patrick, Mika Rose, and Daisy Ocanedo. My Blood the Ink is executive produced by J.Cottle and Jasmine Garcia. For more information on My Blood the Ink and Akeem's Alchemy, visit us on Instagram at Akeem's Alchemy or our website at akeemsalchemy.com. Remember, no matter how dark it gets, yours is a life worth living and a story worth telling. Until next time.